let's say friends walking together all around the world towards the revelation of the Creator. But where exactly is this headed? The revelation of the Creator. But what are the exact steps? I don't know. We came truly to a new degree of connection, such had never existed ever before. Truly important thing was that each friend was in his unique point, and at the same time everyone were connected together. We never had such a thing. The next degree is when we're telling the Creator what we want to do with this connection, toward what and for what reason we what goal we wish to use this connection. We started building a vessel, a place for the upper light, and the next degree is to invite it. We said that we used to attain the congress, the opening of the hearts and connection. It seems like we've attained the opening of the hearts and some kind of connection. The next degree is to continue working on the connection and its diversity of the vessel, and there's tremendous gratitude for everything we went through and what we still have to go through. What's ahead, and a desire to love everyone. It says, to the extent that one appreciates, so one is allotted. That is according to the size of the hole in the vessel, meaning the receptacle of inside volume that lack will always be filled, not less and not more. Therefore, a servant of the Creator who is not sorry for the public, but feels only his own personal lack, his receptacle for abundance is also not greater. As a result, he will not be able to receive the collective revelation of godliness in the form of the comfort of the public, since he did not prepare a vessel to receive this collective discernment, but only his individual discernment. Conversely, one who is sorry for the public and feels the troubles of the public as his own trouble is rewarded with seeing the complete revelation of their. Let's go to a silent workshop and give thanks for what we have received and ask that we merit the complete revelation of the Sheener. Again, let's give thanks for what we received and ask that we merit the complete revelation of the Shalom. Hello. In the first part of the lesson, we will watch a recorded lesson from January 3rd, 2002 based on the article, These Are the Generations of Noah. We'll read the article together in the 10. We have 19 minutes for that. Go ahead. These are the generations of Noah. Quote, these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man. He was complete in his generations. Noah walked with God. End quote. Rashi interprets to teach you that the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds. Rashi explains why he says, these are the generations of Noah. It should have said the names of his sons, meaning Shem and Yet. And why does it say these are the generations of Noah? Noah was a righteous man. He explains that it is because the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds. Quote, in his generations, end quote. Since some of our sages praise him that if he were in a generation of righteous people, he would have been more righteous. Others condemn him. If he were in a generation in the generation of Abraham, he would be regarded as nothing. Noah walked with God. End quote. Lash interprets with Abraham. He says, quote, before whom I walked, end quote. Noah needed assistance to support him, but Abraham was strong and walked with his righteousness by himself. To explain all the above in the work, we should know that father and son, fathers and offspring, mean cause and consequence. Normally, when a person does something, he's certain that this act will engender something. For example, a person who goes to work in some factory wants to get a salary through his actions, so he can provide for himself. It turns out that the father is the labor and the offspring is the provision, the payment. Likewise, when a person learns some wisdom, he wants to be appreciated as wise by that, meaning that everything a person does is only to see generations offspring from his actions. Therefore, when a person engages in Torah and commandments, he certainly wants some generations to be born out of his actions. According to what is written in the holy quotes, fear is interpreted in 3 ways, 2 of which do not have the proper root, and one is the root of fear. There is a person who fears the Creator, so his sons will live and not die, or he fears a monetary punishment. For this reason, he always fears the Creator. It turns out that his fear of the Creator is not the root, since his own benefit is the root, and the fear is its consequence, its offspring. And there is a person who fears the Creator because he fears the punishment of that world and the punishment of hell. Those two fears, fear of punishment in this world and fear of punishment in the next world, are not the essence of the fear and its roots. Fear, which is the essence, is that one should fear one's master because he is great and ruling, the essence and root of all the worlds, and everything is regarded as nothing compared to him. It follows from the above that from the work in which a person labours, which is called the Father, he wants to see the generations from his work, which is called fruit of his work. There are 3 types of generations we should see here. 1, reward in this world, meaning that his sons will live, and he will succeed in his work, etc. 2, reward in the next world. 3, because the Creator is great and ruling. This means that all the generations he aspires for are to be able to bestow contentment upon the Creator. It follows from the above that there is the matter of generations which are called good deeds, and good means bestowing upon the Creator. As it is written, "My heart overflows with a good thing. I say my work is for the King." This means that he wants all of his actions to be for the Creator, and this is called good deeds, and for his own benefit. He wants no reward, and all the reward he hopes for is to be able to do things that bring contentment to the Creator without any reward for his own labour. This means that his reward is that he will be given that gift of being able to do things only for the sake of the Creator without any mixture of intention for to benefit himself. This is the reward for which he engages in Torah and mitzvot, and for such good deeds he hopes to attain this by his labour. It was said about this, "I've created the evil inclination. I have created for it the Torah as a spice." Accordingly, what are the generations of the righteous? Only good deeds, meaning the result that stems from the reason, and the reason is the labour in it. For the rest of the people, of the result of the reason are reward in this world or reward in the next world. But to the righteous, the result from the reason is that their Father who begets generations is only good deeds. This is the only reward they hope for, to be able to bring contentment to the Creator. And this is the meaning of what Rashi interprets, that the generations of the righteous is primarily good deeds. This is regarded as all their actions being only to bestow contentment upon the Creator. However, we should understand what Rashi interprets about the essence of the generations of the righteous and what they consider secondary, which they do not regard as the essence. It is known that there are actions and there is understanding and knowing. That is that which is within reason is called understanding and knowing, meaning that the body too agrees that we should engage in Torah and commandments. Since once a person has achieved the degree of Lishma, he is rewarded with the light of life, which is found in Torah and commandments. As it is written, "More desirable than gold, than much fine gold, and sweeter than honey and the honeycomb." This is called understanding, where the body too understands that it is worthwhile to be a servant of the Creator. Says, quote, "Anyone who engages in is rewarded with many things. Moreover, the whole world is worthwhile for him, and the secrets of Torah are revealed to him." End quote. To the righteous, all these things attained by engaging in Lishma are not regarded as the essence. That is, this is not their intention in the work in Torah and commandments. Rather, what is most important for them is good deeds, meaning to bestow contentment upon the Creator. It is in that regard that they expected to achieve a degree of deeds above reason. Their intention was not to have generations of understanding and knowing, but rather their intention was only the actions. This is the meaning of what Rashi explained, quote, "Teach you that the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds," end quote. According to the above, we can interpret what Rashi explains about in his generations. Quote, "Some of our sages praise him. Moreover, if he were in a generation of righteous, he would have been more righteous. Others condemn him. If he were in Abraham's generation, he would be regarded as nothing." End quote. In his generations means his 2 generations, because 2 is plural. but concerning the work each and every state is called a generation. This is the meaning of quote 1 generation shall praise your work to another end quote. It means that whether a person is in a generation of the wicked, meaning if a person has thoughts and desires of the wicked, at which time a person has great exertion to be able to overcome the arguments of the wicked which peck at his mind and thought with the questions of who and what as is known. At that time he cannot overcome them, unless with the power of faith above reason. This is regarded as subduing the arguments of the wicked, not with answers within reason, but rather only with the power of faith above reason can he defeat them. And this is called an act, meaning without intellect. And this is called quote, if he has performed one commandment, he is happy, for he has sentenced himself and the entire world to the scale of merits end quote. For only with an act can we defeat the arguments of the wicked, and not with intellect and reason. Accordingly, we should say that Noah's generation refers to a generation of wicked. He should be praised because then he has the primary hard work, but he should be condemned because in the end he is in a generation full of the wicked, meaning he has foreign thoughts, and it is unbecoming of a servant of the Creator to have such wickedness in his mind and heart. We should also say that in the generation of Abraham, meaning in a generation where there are righteous ones, namely when he is good thoughts of righteousness, it is when there is only one desire in his heart and mind to bring contentment to the Creator, and thoughts and desires of the wicked never cross his mind or heart. Such a person is in a generation of the righteous. Others praise, for if Noah had been in a state of righteousness, meaning if he had equalized the powers of overcoming that he had in the generation of the wicked, what would he have felt then compared to the feeling he has now, which is the pleasantness and sweetness of the Torah? Certainly, the time of Noah's generation, which is called a generation of wicked, that time was regarded as nothing, for then he still did not feel the delight and pleasure that he feels in a generation of the righteous. But with respect to the work, the time when he was in a generation of the wicked was a place for work. Turns out that no generation is more important, because he has what to do, for the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds. Noah walked with God. End quote. Rashi interprets that with Abraham. He says, quote, before whom I walked, end quote. Noah needed assistance to support him, but Abraham was strong and walked by his righteousness. This means that there are two types of forces in a person, which are called vessels of reception and vessels of bestow. Vessels of bestow relate to the Creator, as the Creator is the giver, and vessels of reception relate to the created being, who is the receiver. And vessels of reception, which relate to the receiver, come before the vessels of bestow. In the words of Kabbalah, the vessels of bestow are called, and gar of, and below them are the vessels of reception, which are that of Biner, and accordingly the vessels of bestow are called. God walked with Noah, meaning that in a place of vessels of bestow, it was possible to walk in holiness, meaning vessels of bestow that relate to the Creator, which are vessels of bestow. This is called Noah needed assistance to support him. Since the upper one gives the vessels of bestow, which is regarded as Noah needing assistance to support him, this means that the upper one awakens him to work called awakening from above, as it is written in the study of the Te'et. However, in the beginning, in the first time, the man that were not by zone in Abua went up, and then the zone were made of those men. Then after zone were established, they raised man a second time, and once he has vessels of bestow, which he acquired through awakening from above, which is called Noah needed assistance to support him, which comes from the upper one. And this was the degree of Noah. But Abraham did not need assistance to support him. Rashi makes that precision from the words before whom I walked. It means that he walked with vessels of reception, which stand before the vessels of bestow. The vessels of bestow which are, and stand above and below them stand the vessels of reception, which are that of, and zone. And since Abraham walked with vessels that are before him, before the vessels of which relate to the Creator, and we relate the vessels of reception to the receivers. This is why using the vessels of reception is called awakening from below, which is attributed to the lower one. This is the meaning of Abraham not needing assistance to support him, because he walked with vessels of reception. With those vessels he was serving the Creator, but the words God walked with no means mean that the vessels that are attributed to God, which are vessels of bestow, which are vessels of the Creator, and those vessels the Creator gives short volition, should get here. Let's continue to the lesson, to the recorded lesson. We read the article. These are the generations of Noah from the writings of Rabash rungs of the latter. What generations of Noah? What are the generations? First of all, he was a righteous man, complete in his generations, meaning his degree, and Noah walked with God, meaning he walked with the quality of Elohim, meaning Bina. Righteous means it's called Bina. Complete is Bina, and Elohim is Bina, is vessels of bestow preparation. Whereas Abraham H, that's already one who engages with vessels of reception. He is then considered to be walking on the path of Abraham. First we acquire vessels of bestow, qualities of the Creator. Then with the qualities of the Creator, we correct the qualities of the created being. This is really the entire process. To bring us to this process, we need to mix the vessels of bestow and vessels of reception, and the created Creator had to enter and then settle inside the created being, shatter it. The created being had to reach a state wherefrom by understanding himself this whole, with the power of understanding, this intellect, the ability to attain something, to feel something, to control life, has to reach a state where he had to reach a state where he feels that he discovers inside of him that he's a shattered vessel, that everything is mixed up, that he's divided in his thoughts and actions, his reason into two parts that are in contradiction to another. They're running around in his mind, one time this way, one time that way, and when he reaches that state, then he comes to a state where he doesn't feel himself righteous and so powerful, rather the other way, the opposite, that he can begin to make corrections from this mixing of vessels of bestowed, vessels of reception. And then beyond it, when he goes and he assembles of his experience, he sees that he's entirely made of vessels of reception, and he has no forces of himself. The vessels of bestow, if they will come from above, then maybe only on this condition he will receive help and support, something to be able to do something with his nature. And he sees that there's a clear disconnection between himself and the vessels of bestow, between vessels of bestow the Creator and the forces of the Creator. And in that state, he comes to a state where he begins to hate his own vessels and love what's above him, above the barrier on the other side, until the feeling begins to be felt in him, to the point where he can truly not exist unless he will receive the qualities of bestow in place of his own qualities. Then he receives from above the power to perform a restriction on his qualities and begin to acquire qualities of bestow, meaning a person goes through stages from thinking himself righteous to the point where he sees that he's not so righteous, meaning he sees himself as righteous. Then he doesn't feel himself at all as such. Then vessels of bestow are not mixed in him, where he begins to work from the point in the heart, and then vessels of bestow begin to work in him more and more. Then he begins to see that he's included of these two opposite things, and they're constantly run around inside of him, and he has no rest, and he doesn't know what to do and what to think, until he sees that these vessels of bestow grow in him in mixture with the vessels of reception, and he sees that his nature is to receive. That's worse than bestow. Then he sees that the nature of bestow is something that he doesn't possess at all, only to receive. Then he begins to hate his nature of perception and to love the nature of bestow, and see that all the good things are beyond the barrier, and he's below it, until he's attracted to everything that's beyond the barrier, and he's willing to give up everything that he has, and joyfully. And then when that force comes from above, he accepts it with a blessing. Then all these stages a person goes through, each time they're also not reveal themselves clearly all at once, and the person knows what he's going through. Rather it goes and it accumulates. So one time, part of the path he's going, as it says, Noah walked with God, and other times he goes in vessels like Abraham, Where from to? He changes his name, meaning he changes his place by changing his barrier, the Hebrew I, because he crossed the barrier between the two worlds. Yes, you can questions. What is the difference between the shattering and a person moving from state to state? We never actually shatter. We are the result of the shattering and the preparation in the worlds. The worlds don't belong to us. The worlds are an external mechanism where the shattering took place in order for the world to contain all the relationships, all the abilities of how to later take care of the soul of man after there was a shattering in the world of Nicodem and then the correction in the world of Absolute of the world of Nicodem, and there was nothing left to correct except for the stony heart, everything but the end of correction. Until the end of correction the worlds were corrected, and then Adam was born and also shattered, and all his parts that underwent additional shattering, they fall to the lowest point, a point without even a need for correction. That's how low they fall. This is called this world. We don't have to correct anything here, unless a point is revealed inside man, a point in the heart. Then he has something to do. He has what to engage in, and we work from below up on developing the point in the heart. So what is the question? By starting to work from below up, we don't need to go through additional shatterings. There's no more shatterings from below up. They only raise you up. The degrees of sanctity, they never lower you down. We only acquire each time, higher and higher degrees. Even when it seems to us that we enter worse degrees in our feeling because our feeling is inside our ego, then we determine or we measure, we weigh what we have in our egoism, in our will to receive. This is something that's not congruent with the purpose of creation. It's possible that relative to the purpose of creation actually much higher, and I feel my vessels of reception, my egoistic vessels, that I have nothing. I have nothing. So the goal appears more distant because the goal has to mean that I have everything. You get it? But I have everything in vessels of bestow, and in vessels of perception I will have nothing. So if a person uses his mind to criticize and analyze his state, then he can justify the Creator. But if he's not able to justify him in his mind, his intellect, to criticize himself, then according to the feeling, sometimes he is in a good mood and sometimes he's in a bad mood. And if he weighs things according to his mood, what is his state, then he cannot relate to him like a righteous or wicked one. Rather, you should relate them like a to a beast, or a beast works only out of its feeling, and a person, man, works from the mind. What does it mean from the mind? That he's using the mind to analyze and criticize the feeling. He's, God forbid, not a machine, man, but he has more, and he has lieber mind and heart, and his correction is where true and false are more important to him, compared to bitter and false and sweet. Did they answer? Can I ask in page 94 in the line, and he walked it towards the end, so it's written that there are two kinds of forces in a person called the vessels of perception and the vessels of bestow. What vessels of bestow does a person have? Where it says here that there are two forces in man called vessels of reception, vessels of bestow. In truth, we also don't possess vessels of reception from the starting point when we were incarnate in this world. Many times for over thousands of years, our soul is wrapped up inside the beastly will receive meaning, desires for beastly lusts, honor, money, knowledge, and that's in this way we reincarnate each and every time until this outer shell of this world, this desire, until this desire begins to be so pure, so refined, through the suffering and the torments a person suffers from generation to generation, thanks to the process of development of humanity. And when this desire grows and reaches a great desire for money and honor and knowledge and beastly lusts, look how many things you have in our world. If you were to look around 5,000, 4,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, we couldn't find so many people who would desire honor. They would agree to be slaves. Just let him, have something to eat. Even today, there are many people like that. How many people actually want money? Let me be. Leave me be. I'm just sitting under my banana tree, and it's enough for me, or knowledge. How many people are actually thirsty for science, for wisdom from generation to generation? These things improve. And don't say that in our generation, that the desires for beastliness, for sex, for food, and all kinds of things that they're passing. No, there are also growing, intensifying, and together with them also the desires for control and for science. They also grow more intense. Everything grows. Now that back then, these desires, you had these desires first, they were beastly, and today there they are. Beastly today they're all, and then that. Today they're only for science. No, meaning humanity comes to a state where it wants everything, and together with that it comes to truly to a state where it wants everything, and then next to it you reveal the point in the heart, and the poor person begins to see that he had such a strong desire for all these pleasures, and suddenly he can't fill it, because the point in the heart cancels the filling. No matter how much he receives, I can have the greatest lust, and I have all the possibilities. I have money like Rothschild, and like former President Clinton, I have control, let's say, and like Einstein, I have science and wisdom. But if next to it I have a point in the heart, it doesn't matter how much I've got to fill these desires in this world. I'll feel empty, because the point in the heart gives me a feeling that I have nothing from spirituality. I don't know what is spirituality, but suddenly I feel like I have nothing. See, so I'm left empty from here and from here. And this is the outcome that we're slowly getting to. People are getting to. They are more despaired compared to our generation. How many psychological problems, psychosomatic problems, mental problems, depression people are suffering from. 100 years ago, people would be satisfied with all things, everything they've got. Today, it's a problem. What? People didn't have drugs 1,000 years ago. Nobody needed it. Even 150 years ago, it was rare that people used it. They only started to use it from the 50s, 60s of the 20th century. Before that, it was just, whatever. So those who did it, and those who didn't. That was it. People weren't particularly attracted to it. It's only because the point in the heart is revealed next to all those desires, and these desires could be full. Typically all those things came from cultured countries. Where are people using drugs? Europe, America, Russia, places where people can more or less fill themselves with things, right? Well, they can't learn to do whatever you want. He wants nothing. He can't fill, he can't feel. The fulfillment can feel full. All those underdeveloped countries that are still in the process of development, when the the heart does not shine strongly to point to their emptiness, then they're doing those drugs, and they're selling everything, and they fill themselves through, with money and food and TV and all those things that still exist that precede the European development. Let's say seems by themselves, they don't need it. They eat drugs, and then they want food, and there they don't want food, they want drugs, and that's unnatural. It's not unnatural, but because the point of the heart is revealed, and it points to the emptiness and all the other desires, and the rest of the desires are strong, except they're empty. There's no fulfillment. I am a king with all the possibilities. So what were you asking? There are two forces in a person. So when a person starts having these two forces, desire to bestow, what comes from the point of the heart, it's not the desire to bestow yet, but and the will to receive. They brought this explosion to a person. Now this talks about our state, but in general in spiritual degrees, the desire to bestow is, there's no such thing as a desire to bestow, the desire to receive. A corrected desire, we call it a desire to bestow, or the light that comes, and according to his qualities it's a desire to bestow. It's godly light, but the desire to bestow, just like that, it's the Creator. If we talk about a desire to bestow in the created being, it's either the desire to receive, the received correction, to bestow in order to bestow, or even to receive in order to bestow, or it's the light that appears in the vessel and it brings the vessel this correction. So this light, this force that the vessel acquires is called the will to bestow, the desire to bestow. So the language is short, is contracted. So we are confused. So when he said that there are two forces in men called vessels of reception and vessels of bestow, there are no vessels of bestow. Just think about vessels of bestow. It's a very strange concept. Deficiency. A vessel is a deficiency. Deficiency to bestow. What is a deficiency to bestow? Lack for bestow. What does it mean that I fill him? If I'm bestowing, so I'm working in order to fill him. What is a desire to bestow? Desire means a place. We already understand that vessels of bestow speak of egoistic vessels that acquired correction of bestow, and they fill themselves only when they bestow. And how do they bestow? By filling themselves. And if they will not fill themselves, they will not be able to bestow. So in order to bestow, that obligates them to fill themselves, meaning using the place, the vessel, in order to bestow. This is called vessels of bestow. Then we are talking about created being. You said now that because the point in the heart is revealed amongst the cultured peoples, then you get drugs and all sorts. So why don't I see the point in the heart lead them to Kabbalah? We said that the point of the heart, why the point in the heart in civilized cultures, as we talked about it, is showing to them only emptiness through their five senses and trying to fill their lives when they fill themselves with drugs only to escape the despair. They don't know that they're in a dead end. You'll see all of Europe will gradually sink. There will be no more development. There's no courage for it, no impulse for it. All the countries. That's why I have all these things. Ascent, descent, ascent, descent. You'll see all the Americans crying, shouting about progress and work and money and everything. Gradually, you'll see that the people want to do nothing. That's according to their development. So what are you asking? Why they don't reach? Why didn't they come to Kabbalah? It's not time yet. They're still revealing the nothingness of the fillings of this world. They're still not revealing it. It's the beginning. But you see, according to all the size, culture is not important any longer. Literature is not important. Development itself is not important even. In Japan you'll see those things. All the whole world will enter such, if not the desires that come out of fear, not for acquiring something, but rather from fear about existence itself. The world would have atrophied a long time ago. That's the way. The world is like a Laitman. Person who feels he can't fulfill himself is in this kind of maze. Have you seen it? Look at yourself. Look at others also. They don't want to get up. I don't want to work. Why? What for? Person is confused. He goes mad, doesn't find his path. Why make an effort? He looks for something. He leaves everything behind. It doesn't want to work, of course. And so it is with the whole world gradually until it is discovered that the whole of this development, what is it for? If we're not happier than those who lived in the caves, what for then? You have 100 channels on the television. I look at it, fine, and gradually you start feeling in each and everything that it doesn't satisfy you, and that's right before the revelation of the point in the heart very clearly. So, but those are good stages of progress, very clear stages. You can see how in 100 years' time, how much humanity has advanced in the awareness towards the reality it's living in. No, you say that a person with a point in the heart feels emptiness in his beastly senses. So how not to be impressed by the emptiness of the vessels of this world? A person who's being developed, I think, gradually begins to feel emptiness in the beastly vessels because the point in the heart shows him that he's empty. He can fulfill himself with food, beastly pleasures, honor, money, knowledge. But beside that there is a higher vessel, which shows him that it's empty. That vessel, the person feels that everything he tried satisfying himself with does not suffice. Yes, that's before he begins to take care of himself using Kabbalah. When he starts taking care of himself using Kabbalah, then it's a different kind of malfunction, so to speak. Then he receives different conditions begin to be arranged inside of him. He begins again to receive pleasure through food and women, and his work may be in various other things, but this is an aid against him before he starts learning Kabbalah. It's before there's this natural process. It's the natural process that comes from above But when he begins to study according to how much he studies, according to how much energy he invests, then this imbalance is cultivated within him more and again. Instead of desire for spirituality receives the desire for corporality. Usually it's for sex. It's written that it's the foundation of all of our passions, lusts, desires. This is according to the spiritual root. So he begins to perceive that as a disruption, most especially, or sometimes it's with work, money, respect, knowledge, but not really much, because all the other desires other than sex are desires which depend on the society. And here perhaps we can explain this as well. A person who advances, he's brought out of his connection to the society. He's busy with himself all the time, and so he doesn't engage with himself, and so he doesn't have problems of money, respect, knowledge, but only bodily passions. That awakens him in him most especially. But this is a different process from above. It's awakened in him according to how much he invests in the study. Can you overcome these disturbances in the mind? Overcoming these disruptions, that is done intellectually. Person intellectually decides that he must erase his intellect and work like an ox to the burden. And how does it go? Ox to the burden and donkey to the load. Yes, right, like that. What I'm told I will do. Why, if they say I guess they know, I'm confused. I don't know. Or I mustn't hear what I myself am thinking. Do we consider additional coarseness, additional disturbances? If I heard what the love would tell me, I can now perhaps account for how many months and years I would save. But it's impossible. It's nice to say how I could, but I couldn't listen. But in truth, seemingly if to compare one to the other, what are you saying? I want to ask if this additional disturbances means that this is additional coarseness. Addition of what? Speak more clearly. I don't hear. Additional disturbances. Addition in disturbances that it brings. Additional coarseness if you absorb these disturbances and you truly work with them. But if these disturbances come as disturbances that you don't truly absorb, you don't perceive, you don't realize them, you don't use them, then these disturbances, if you use them, if you actualize them, you rise in coarseness. You rise a degree ultimately. You fall deeper down and then rise higher. But if you don't want these disruptions to begin with, you sort of limit yourself, don't accept them, then you become you descend in degree, you become more pure, more refined. You let go, let's say, and maybe from above you'll get an awakening in some time. It's unknown. You understand. In states that come to a person as difficult, it's preferable to somehow use these states. Yes, you said that a person has to intellectually cancel his mind and do what he's told. But relative to what or to whom should we one cancel his intellect, and toward what should you follow? Should you go with reason? Can you scrutinize that? Maybe give me an example instead of a question about kank. Suddenly something new comes right. Something new is that parag. So tell me what you're asking about. I don't know. For example, something in society. Toward what do I need to and all, and toward not do I need. Do I need to leave my work as we have a society? In that society there are various laws, let's say, yes, agreements. To which of those must I annul myself? Which of those must I enroll myself before, or have to want to annul myself at least? Which should I approach with criticism perhaps, and to object and to demand they be changed? Because if I don't relate to it in that way, then where am I and where's the society? It won't influence me. If I'm just integrated in the society with no struggle at all against it, then I'm like an embryo, and they won't really influence me. I won't feel any influence towards me from them. Influence. Well, we feel that with power you enter, and you truly make a difference, right? All the good outcomes come from using power, using energy towards one another. Yes, the more opposed these forces are, the more contradiction, the more powerful it is. Then there's more benefit from it. It yields more fruit. So how should I relate to the society now? First of all, of course, with my mind and my heart fully. And here there is a very clear and well-defined approach under any circumstances. I mustn't change anything of what is agreed upon in the society without everyone agreeing to that, meaning I have to participate in everything that the society demands of me, even though I can't, air quotes, can't emotionally. It's difficult, I don't agree, but I must participate. Otherwise it doesn't mean I'm, or rather it's not called being in the society, and alongside that I have to examine with criticism in a reasoned way and collect perhaps advices or summaries to bring them to the society arguments, to try and convince, to persuade them as much as possible. Yes, this is also accepted in external societies. That's how they want to do. You can see in the case in the Parliament, the rules are clear. There's no going above reason and doing something there. Above reason, we need to accept just one thing. This principle that we're going to make ourselves compatible with the upper force. That is all. From that we do not deviate. Adhesion to the Creator. That is the first sentence, after which you can add all the other sentences and we can examine if they belong to that or not. And accordingly, we will decide if this is good for us, that is bad for us, and so on. So if you see in the society some things which aren't good seemingly, that aren't congruent with or do not support adhesion to the Creator, then you need to organise things properly. 1, 2, 3, 4. To bring quotes, verses to speak to people, to bring it to the society, and if the society is truly really going in that direction, then probably it will see that there is room for improvement. But again, the first sentence you need to start with, and it's not just a slogan. We need to adhere to the Creator, and therefore we need to beat up that one, that guy, and so on, something like that. No, in a very clear and reasoned manner, very clear to everyone, to show that there is room for improvement here, and only in such a way where you tie it to the goal, but in a very clear way and also very practical way, not some kind of, starring the philosophers and practical. What does that mean? Because he says that in an abstract way, you can destroy the whole world, right? Form devoid of substance, we need to, in order to bestow. Whoever doesn't want to bestow is thrown away from the throne, from the society, something like that. I don't know, or whoever is the biggest egoist here, he has no room here, right? Egoism is the opposite, of course, those kinds of things. So, we need to advance only with form clothed in substance, meaning only in actual reality, which can now be realized and determines what we should be doing. You can divide the disturbances into two kinds, those that bring pleasure and those that bring suffering. Which is preferred or less preferred? Another question. Anyone, can you give an example for something Rabash told you to do and he didn't? What Rash told you to do and you didn't do? Another question. What are disturbances, and what does it mean to overcome disturbances? You see, I thought they will follow your question, that they don't care. Yes, the donkey, if you close his eyes, then it can begin to work, it's easy. But if it's constantly happening, it's very difficult. The question is, even during the stage of adhesion, how to do it, to put food before him, and the same way as with the donkey, where you shut his eyes, block his eyes, and he walks. You need to shut your eyes and walk. So we say now, how to shut your eyes and walk. The society needs to carry you. The fact that you yourself can't, I believe you. Truly I have nothing to say. I have no complaint to you. But the society, if not for the society, there are states where person or it could be time. What the mind doesn't do, time does. I know this about myself, that it is so. I had such cases where I was sitting at home and Rabash would call my home and shout, come. And I'm sitting and crying on the phone, feeling that I cannot come, I cannot go, I just can't, and I feel this force stopping me, I can't talk. And he tells me over the phone, come here immediately, and I tell him I can't come. You don't know what kind of spiritual forces are at work, yet you wait. That's why we need to determine the states we could take, the steps we could take in advance. After I signed this contract with the society and the society starts, I read the contract, and it looks like to me that this contract is something that will advance me on the path But later the society starts to invent all kind of laws that to me seem to remove no distance me from the path, meaning one of the items on the contract is that anything society decides I have to keep, or can I criticize it, right? So you enter the society not in such a way where these clauses in the agreement I sign and I keep, and those I don't write, and that's what I sign, right? No, you enter the society when you sign on all the clauses. There are many clauses to the contract, and you can work according to the accepted laws and clauses, or you can change them. Please, you're welcome, come in and change them. And it's not that you go to society and you see that all the clauses are good and bad, and tomorrow you will see that this is good and that is bad, right? But I've already signed. Yes, no, you have to accept everything. You can also change everything. If the laws of the society change, how should I respond to it? Meaning you have to accept it as somehow the laws of the society truly they change according to the development of the society. If the society determines for itself unnatural laws, well, first of all, either it delays its development for time, or at some point, sooner or later, it sees that what was decided upon is simply not practical. It cannot be kept. And so this law maybe it's written down somewhere, but who keeps it? It's like in America, it's forbidden for an elephant to walk on the street. You have various all kinds of flaws. Where do you have elephants? But you understand all sorts. So it's the same thing here. It's good that some law is written down. Very good. But in the society, it's not. But certainly I always say that the concern we have for examining our inner laws, that is actually the most important thing, because by that a person examines himself, but he needs to relate to the laws of the society like his own inner laws, that he should organize himself internally accordingly, and that's how he should comport himself. It's not that this determines my attitude to the people in the society. It determines the attitude within me between all the desires and forces and passions I have in me. That's it. So first of all, I need to look at it as if it's a model of how I want to see my inner self, and not externally me and other people and more of the more friends, and somehow this is how we can get along, or each one jumps up and down this way, that way. No. First of all, the agreement needs to be my own inner contract. There doesn't need to be a difference between the external and the internal contract. A person typically advances through importance. If there's an importance for something, then I do everything. Suddenly, if I'm a beast, I lose importance, and that's it. Can you make these beastly laws on a person? Let's say I'm giving an example now. Something we did with these times, as we said, it's important to come at 3:00 a.m. We could never really live up to it. But now we've made a law and everybody's doing it. Everybody's coming at 3:00 a.m. a month already. Because of envy, lust, where the shame person sits is unpleasant. All right, so you established some means by which a person keeps the law that you decided upon ahead of time before it was impossible to keep. Very good. What is your question? Can you use those things and other things? Yes, of course. What do you mean, a law that a country makes? They say if you don't follow this law, it'll be capital punishment. If it's a lesser infringement, right, then it's a fine $100,000, and if less, maybe conditional, and so on. What to do with all these punishments according to how to bring a person gradually, so that the agreement is about every law that we took upon ourselves. We have to write it down what will happen if he doesn't do it. It's not about a person not keeping the agreement. What will happen with a person if he doesn't keep it? It's his own personal account with the Creator, right? Because the law that you decide upon in the society, that you set in the society, is actually, well, you don't know how to what extent it is accepted above, right? We didn't talk about it yet. He writes in Latin, toward the giving of the Torah, that the leadership that comes through the nation, the people, and the creators. Leadership, or it's the same thing, how to put it naturally, turns out that way. What is decided, let's put it this way. What a group decides, or a big crowd of people, a big group, it begins to become the law of the upper providence upon them from above. We'll talk about it. If don't just accept it as given. we'll talk about it. But what do I want to say by this? By you trying to keep even the most seemingly sensingly silly law, the least important from your regulations most trivial, by that you will scrutinize the regulations, the contracts better, you will see how these are things that don't belong to us. And this does belong to us, so this is more important, that's less important. But ultimately you're working on your inner regulations, code of laws, or external, it doesn't matter, you're working to scrutinize it, and by that the scrutiny advances you. So how do you advance? A person scrutinizes a degree, the degree where he is, and if that degree is good or bad, how useful it is or not for myself, for the society, for the goal, and so on. And by finishing that scrutiny he advances to the next degree, and so the work with the regulations, with contract. It's a very useful thing. Each person examines himself. If I tell you now there's a different problem, I'll say that in the society we need to discuss the call of laws, so you'll now hold meetings from now till I don't know when. You'll constantly be meetings and discussions. This is a person's inner work. It's not just blah blah. Through talking you don't achieve anything, nothing is done through talking, nothing, you didn't get an answer. As you said, they're laws and the charter or an agreement. Yeah, so now if it's important to me, I do it, I keep it. If it's not important, then neither the creator nor the group. When I fall, of course, I don't care about all these laws and the bylaws that we made, and I don't want to relate to them. And so who holds me? Who sustains me? Only the society can hold me. The society needs to obligate me, even if I don't want to observe things on the level that I'm in those laws. In a state in which I'm in spirituality, I want to support the society also spiritually, but in a state where I'm only in my animalistic beastly self, I need to support myself in an animalistic. My animalistic level cannot go up or down. I have to participate in the society on so-called beastly level as much as possible. And I'm telling you about all my weaknesses, that we had times that there was a time where I couldn't come to. This wasn't just a case. This is, however, it will be clarified. I'm asking, like 5 or 6 years ago, we weren't allowed to be late for the lesson, and also now we can't be late to the lesson. So, what do we write down on our agreement? What change should we make? On the outside, nothing changes. But we signed like 4 years ago. We are not allowed to be late to the lesson. I'll tell you, it's prohibited to be late for the lesson. You see it as a great obstacle. Do an exercise. I'll recommend this during the day. Throughout the day, you call one another. But now where there will be phone calls all day and non-stop confusion, we need to lower that a little bit also. And it seems to me that there's a little much talk going on. Unnecessary talk. Immediately recall something. Some thought comes just like comes in my mind, but before it even passed away at the speed of light, already recall. We need a little holding back in this as well. That when it comes to speaking, calm down for a moment and you'll see how much it wasn't necessary. So, but call one another either on the phone or just in speaking about the topic of the importance of coming to lesson and preparing ourselves to being present here at 5 minutes to 3. Each should listen to the others. Guys, we're not allowed to come later than the time of preparation for lesson. Start preparing yourselves for that. If you wash your brain with this, not with this information, then you'll see how you will observe it with no problems, without efforts. You won't not be able to observe it. Plan yourself in your mind for that. We didn't try it for a week, and you'll see that it's right. I'll tell you only one thing. It could be that maybe out of 5 to 10 cases where I was late for the lesson ever. I also don't think it was that much. Yes, there was a real justified reason for something. I don't remember that. I'm telling you, seriously, I don't care. Not my wife, not my children, not nothing. The way Rabash shared it when I first time I heard it from him, he says, it's already late. It's really dark in the streets. It's dark outside. I'm going to sleep. And I was used to, 12:100 a.m. That's when we go to sleep. It is so. It shook me up within to such an extent that meaning, 6 hours before I think that we need to go to sleep, he already thought to go to sleep at 7 p.m. If you, for 3 days instead of talking around here, you are at home, and out of those 2 times you'd go to sleep at 7 p.m. It would be better for your home and for you and for the friends you would be, also confusing everyone less with your nonsense, and also connecting more you. Know the sleep for the wicked is good, for them, and for the world. I'm talking seriously. You don't hear what I'm saying to you, do? The Creators work in sleep. No, you seem you are really well. He writes in the article that there's fear of this world, and fear of the next world, and there's fear of the heavens. Why are we speaking about signing agreements? There's things that help a person advance with no fear, or he can get an awakening without it. Or is there no need for such an awakening? One needs to use all the forces he has, and especially fear, in order to come to the desirable state. We have no inclination, even the worst of them, that was not created in order to bring us to the goal, even the worst. That you can be ashamed for yourself, but to say that you have it, there is nothing that was created for nothing. The use of it was not corrected, that inclination possible, but nothing was created redundantly. We may think that there's something that the Creator didn't correct everything in a most corrected way, and is there. There's crazy people, there's dyslexic, there's autistic spectrum, there's I'm not even talking about ill and diseases and but even other problems. We think that there's some diversion in this or some deviation. It's not. It's the Providence who makes these actions in a persistent and wise way. And later it will be revealed why, specifically by you having runny nose or someone was bored with a spiritual diversion of some sort, some kind of psychosis or something, then what corrections this brings forth. So therefore don't look at a person who is suitable, not suitable in some way, rather just look according to the degree of his ripeness to be with us. And we certainly need to use all the means that, well, if you don't activate this fear upon himself, so he will. So if he doesn't come to study, then gradually he'll fall away he'll drop off from the society, he'll fall. So if he doesn't admit this, then you need to come to him and say to him, buddy, 3 more times you're late. We simply throw you from the group. Come to study when you want, but our attitude towards you'll see what it will be like to someone who is just he came today, and we don't know who he is, what he is, and whether he's with us or not. And you need to relate to him this way. Start relating this way, in disparagement, and I'm showing you this something how many times I said, in front of everyone, I said to everyone, how I relate to them just like that. Do you think it's nice what I'm doing, but there's no choice. And you're not taking the example from me, you're okay, it's fine. It'll pass, what will pass, give him even more blows than I do. What you're allowed, I'm not so permitted to do. You're like caressing him. It's like a father kind of gives the blow, and the mother kind of does the opposite, spoils all the efforts of the father. Well, so the child suffers more in the end. I'm not doing this for no reason. Start relating to him like, look how he's sitting sleeping, and I'm looking at him like that. No. Sit like you said a moment ago. They're sick. I know you're sick. That's it. You're an example. Very good. At least you have a fact that you're an example. Start relating to him with disparagement, and you'll see how this helps. He comes and won't come tomorrow. He'll be here at 2:00 before me. He'll be here. You're not using what you have. How can you grow in such a society? I'm talking seriously. I don't know how you could withstand this. The attitude is so, everyone just covering their butts. It's we don't need anything more than that. As a few people that are somehow making sure to relate to one another. According to the participation in the society, only a few of those, the rest. And the lesson, like in lesson and after lesson, everyone's body is like everything else. Why is it like everything else? Why do I need to be connected to him more and then I am to someone else, like to Malik, for example, who participates each time and does all the things and stands the times and does everything in society. I want to be adhered to this person more than to that one, and you don't have that distinguishment between the way you relate. Why isn't there? On one hand we need to help, but on the other hand we have to show that why should I be connected to such, meaning don't let him, don't leave him, but don't show him that we're show him on the show to him as someone who's distant from you, who does this, society do this, only me, I stand in front of everyone, and I make performances. I chose two people, one and the other, and I'm constantly doing it upon them. I don't see this on your behalf at all. It's not good. What forces are you talking about? Activating. It's the greatest force of all. Use shame, envy, use it. It's the biggest influence. Whoa, do you know what it is to be ostracized from the society? It's in the end, nothing impacts him. You'll say, well, why do you even want to come here? Leave us, sit at home. You have some kind of obligations here, so let's finish our calculations, finish our talks. No one appeals to them, no one answers his appeals, nothing, and see what happens with that person. He'll feel what a society is and what he's losing. Use it, but of course with refinement, with delicacy, but start with something at least. You need to go with the assumption that no one wants to observe the laws of the society. No one cares about anything. Each and everyone is weak and doesn't want to do anything. And how specifically from here can we activate the help for a person? And you relate to everyone. Everyone's participating. Everyone's doing. Okay, let's share impressions from the lesson. And what from it are we taking to implement in the 10? I don't quite know how to summarize. Talk about the article. It's simpler. The article was really nice, and RA summarized this very nicely about the whole process a person works with and goes through from the revelation of his point in the heart, which starts to show him who he really is, and out of this wants to emerge from his natural nature and to choose bestow. That's what all these laws activate in us, and from these disturbances he starts wanting to change and awakens the light. They are a place. It's a place that needs to be filled in order to be able to be still. Then we're speaking about an actual created being. Yes, when wicked sleep, it's good for them and for the world. That's what Raf says. Go to sleep early and wake up and come on time. And the fact that we're not doing that, we are harming ourselves, and we're not using the force of the group in order to correct this. We accept it this way, and it kind of flows with us for years, and we relate to everyone like to everyone. Today, we heard something that maybe we don't want to hear, but we heard with hope in general. There is a process of the will to receive, how to correct it, from bestowing in order to bestow the pure desires, and then we advance to bigger desires to receive in order to bestow. According to the article we studied, then all the processes, the spiritual processes, we a person go through from the shattering, the desire to bestow in order to bestow, to receive in order to bestow. The entire correction is on one hand. On the other hand, we heard Rav with all kinds of advices of how to behave in the society, what we do in the society. But again, it brings us back to that point that at one point there wasn't our global community and a study community. There was this society, and everyone behaved in a certain way or wanted to serve. Brought a few examples, and we also need to sit and discuss these examples of ours and what's happening now. Main thing is to be rewarded with vessels of still that's beyond the barrier, and a person eventually that's what's important for him. He's willing to let go of everything in order to attain. He talked about the society needing to accept everything the society says, but we can change. We can scrutinize and put criticism on it as long as the changes are observed by everyone and accepted by everyone. I heard that the point in the heart, which is revealed, it shows the emptiness in a person and states a cup to person when they are difficult. So somehow he has to use it. Also heard that to adhere to the upper one is the sentence we start from, and in the end he said it nicely. Do the work of the Creator. There was a very nice attitude towards the laws of the society. There's many things, but one beautiful point is that the laws and the so-called bylaws that we define in the society, we don't necessarily need to hide the relations between the friends, but rather these are laws that should be like internal laws in a person, where a person can critique himself and some vessel for examination with I mean the right attitude, right relations, operating incorrectly, and accordingly he can correct himself and correct the deviation of himself in the society. And the topic today said, what are good deeds that for his own benefit he doesn't want anything. All the reward he wants is to have the ability to do, to give contentment to the Creator. We're going to move to sing a song together. Now every man has to know, inside there's a candle that glows, and there is no fire that burns like the light of his friends. And we must understand that our work to reveal what's for us can only be done when we join all our hearts into one. And inside there are sparks yearning to unite. All together we pray, make a request to the light, and inside there are sparks yearning to unite in this fire of love. Now every man has to know, inside there's a candle that glows, and there is no fire that burns like the light of his friends. And we must understand that our work to reveal what's for us can only be done when we join all our hearts into one. And inside there are sparks yearning to unite. All together we pray, make a request to the light, and inside there are sparks yearning to unite in this fire of love. And inside there are sparks yearning to unite. All together we pray through the light, and inside your spite, in the fire of love. Hi to everyone. So a few words about the 10th Congresses, how it even started. How did this convention start? So I think it was like about a year ago. We were on a 10 trip with Inal. We sat and we were talking, and from nowhere Mick came with this I thought such a thing everyone needs to feel. Everyone needs, every 10 needs to feel this, what we're feeling, this warmth that's created from those few days of being together and are simply together. That was the summary of it, that we are for many hours commonly together, and we go on walks, and we do in lessons, and we do meals, and simply don't separate no matter what happens. We start the day, we end the day, and we rise the next morning, and there's another day, and it only continues and continues. And with that idea, later on, it was simply us to see how he took it and put it into every place possible. And almost reality was compelled us to, for this to happen. And you can see, there were many doubts along the way. Will it work? Will it not work? How will they get along? What will they do? Maybe we'll do it one day. Maybe not everyone. Maybe only some. Maybe it's suitable for this country or that country. It's not, etc. But you could see that, after everyone agreed that we're going for this, and we're putting aside the fears and doubts, and believe the idea and the direction, I think there's not one 10 in the world today that can say that this Congress was redundant. From every discussion I had with friends in the last couple of days, there's not one that doesn't say that it was perfect, that it was the Congress, simply the Congress. And really, the amazing thing is that even with the women that had doubts, how will they be able to do such a Congress? How will it work out for them? And they too managed to do such a thing on all the days, and with all the intensivity of it and the participation. It simply shows that we as a society take an idea and go for it together. Then we simply enable the Creator to pave the path for us and create a reality that develops us spiritually. So we feel that we're still under this cloud. We didn't recuperate from it yet, from this wonderful Congress we went through. Many things happened in the last few days for every 10. Every 10 went through it in a bit of a different way. We all chose how to have it. The content, the atmosphere, the menu, in what way to do it, where to do it, how to do it. And it's very special on one hand. On the other hand, all the 10s did it together. So there's this something common that even though it didn't happen physically, we all experienced it and felt it. There are more 10s that in the past have already gone to such weekends or one-day trips, but everybody felt the difference because there's a difference when only a 10 does it on their own, or when all the 10s do it in parallel. There's something very strong in the air. We saw a lot of special things in this process, and now we want to try and process what we went through, because it's also important for the future to try and keep some of the things we went through in the 10. Their idea was very simple: to strengthen the 10s, that every 10 has a strong anchor, that it's something that holds a person on the spiritual path. So what we want now is that every 10 makes a summary for themselves. Maybe some have already done it, but let's do it together. What is our summary from the 10 Congress? What would we take from it in our future work in the 10 and how do we all together for our 10 summarize this Congress afterwards. We'll want to hear impressions from all the tents that are here and the world a bit. Impressions to incorporate together from the atmosphere that every 10 went through. So again, a workshop question. What is our summary from the Congress? What are we taking from it for in our work in the future? This Congress was certainly a breakthrough. If it was, felt a few months ago as something new, that wasn't quite done or not at this intensivity and the quantity of days and the organizations we did. So now after the Congress it's kind of like immersed in our heart. The feeling that we have done something that was never done, something new. And we went through it together. A certain kind of shower intensive non-stop work that we did together, and we were all part of it. Each gave his sesame seed. Each contributed his part. And today we look backwards and we say, we did it. It's not something scary like a half a day or a day, but we truly, for 3 days. I can say I had fears. How I'll be with the friends for 3 days. How much can you deal with the friends? And how can you constantly be in work internally and giving or in duties? Where's the silence? Where can you? So when everyone does this together and everyone contributes, then we did something that's truly great. We went through a very special thing. What we did, we can feel the work that was done by so many tens. Every 10 took responsibility and realised the principles of the co-lists and didn't wait for something from above to show them what they should do. But a lot of points in the heart in the world implemented their strong connections also for us in the tent. And it was really felt the responsibility towards the 10, how each one is important. How we want to invest more forces in it, how we're lacking to add more connection, what points we need to improve. It's like a laboratory that the more we focus on it, we see that it is a true place for our spiritual work. As far as the physical part of the Congress we went through, we can go to the right, to the left. The background doesn't matter. It could be a tent, a hotel, anywhere we choose. Whatever we do will always be good. I think we went through a huge leap in the revelation of the wicked, and this inner decision that we're capable of dealing with changes in opinions, resistances, and all kinds of states that you see the shattering before our eyes. And then we also learned how to take ourselves and aim it to the goal, to let go of all the not important things and to come close to the goal, the reforming like the writings and what truly advances us. My summary is that these things that we're speaking about so much, one man, with one heart, connection, help, love, we need at least ones to actually hear it on the ground, feel it on the ground. I think it's truly the Congress, the strongest one ever. Personally, I thought that this is how it should be. It's most natural, most correct. You don't deal with all kinds of sideway things, but just connection, internal work, and I hope it'll be adopted for the following congresses as well, and if not, then at least we will do it a few times a year. It was really a strong congress. There was the opening of the hearts, and just as we went on that path towards a cave together, so we helped each other. It was amazing, strong. May we go together towards a creator, towards a goal. It was very strong. Eve writes, love will cover all crimes. We discovered how every friend is acting towards the attainment of the goal, and despite it appearing like there's fundamental clashes between us, it is clarified that only an appeal to the Creator can complete them in that direction. It's important to continue to always justify the friends and to appeal to the Creator for help, and every friend got a deficiency of the other friend as his own. That was very special for a friend to be able to keep the Shabbat. Friends went to sleep before the Shabbat and didn't use. They showed their greatness to a new degree. I think we attained a new degree of connection. The fact that we were together for so much time, we learned how to get to know one another more on a corporal level, on a spiritual level, to open our hearts more, to incorporate more joy. Joy from connection, joy from the goal. Each discovered how great each and everyone is and how necessary and needed each person is, and how there's the special part in the 10, and how each adds the shade and colour like a sphere, like a sphere inside the whole, and how you can't do it without everyone. Everything is organised and with intention. You feel the Creator managed the event. Each gives his own But you see, the one that managed this Congress was the Creator. He probably did it in all the world, in all the tens, and all of us together. We see that each one has their special deficiency, and in our work, we want to let each one implement his part towards attempts. And we need to find this common center where we incorporate from all these deficiencies and see how to work with them correctly and see how everyone adds to our common flame. There was a feeling in the cows. I don't know how you improve it, but that the Creator is managing us. There's no doubt. From Romans PL2, the reading of the preparation for Saturday. Okay, friends, so it really seems that there are a lot of impressions, even though we had a lot of times together. But we want to hear impressions, all types, whether something private or as a 10. What did we go through? Let's share the friends, it's very important. We want to incorporate. We weren't all physically together. Spiritually, we were, but I guess physically not, so let's raise our hands and share. 3, please. Yes, friends. Good morning to everyone. Huge thanks for the opportunity to share. We also went through probably what everyone went through. Huge thanks for the concept, the idea of the Congress. It really united us. It was a historical move for our 10 where we all met in full. Everyone was active and the friends were revealed in new colours, new shades. And when we shared with other 10s, we discovered that we went through very similar states, similar revelations, and we were really richer from it, and we felt ourselves as a very important part of the world. Please bestow and influence one another. Okay, friends, thank you very much. Thanks to the Creator, to all the people in Pakattikvar who work hard to support us, and in Toronto 1, our shared summary from the 10 convention is that we felt the power of connection when each friend and all supported and raised the importance of the goal. We take from this convention the need to continue daily with the same spirit to care for the friends, strengthen the greatness of the goal, and turn every disturbance, every dissent into a reason for a deeper connection and prayer. The convention gathering the tents gave us a spark of unity. Now our work is to protect it and to grow it in the tent and in the society, friends. Yeah, we felt great confidence in the Congress that came from every friend. How every friend is unique. We are loving friends. We gathered outside the city physically, and we agreed that we have to keep meeting every 3 months, the whole 10 in the same format, even if it's not an official Congress, just like the 10s do. We had some conflicts that we came out of very quick, and we advanced. With their help, we ascended upward. We scrutinized questions that we never could in that same ascent and excitement in the Congress. Yes, we share this feeling that this was the first Congress. On the second day, well, in the first day, it was truly an upliftment connection we never felt before. On the second day, expect as expected. Many wicked have been revealed, and I think the Congress had to be 3 days, not as an option, but as an obligation to give us the possibility on the third day to cover it with love. We now have work in the 10 to do it between us, but in the future, maybe it's worthwhile for the Congress to be 3 days to allow us to be able to go through all these states in those situations. A very powerful Congress. I agree with what the friend said about the first day, that it was a strong connection. Then, the second day, we were able to scrutinize all kinds of topics we needed to scrutinize in the 10, and a 10 never went through such a state of excitement, we'll call it, and there were very strong scrutinies. Thank God we agreed on many things. We started the head of the 10 exercise in the Congress. We also signed the ALV on the morning lesson after many years. 12 friends came to the morning lesson, and it's great happiness. Thank you. Thank you to the Creator. First of all, gratitude from the entire 10 for this organization, for the topic, for the form of it, for the contents. It was excellent. It wasn't very simple for us when we entered into this Congress. And during the Congress, what helped us is like the friend shared 1,000,001 things that we went through, but it's a summary of it. The Congress itself, the blow of the Congress, helped us go through things, wounds and scrutinies that have been accumulated for months, some of them for years, and we suddenly lie. They received their path, not that The solution is ready, but a path and the approach to it and the warmth of connection started to work as to what operates on it. That's truly great. Another piece of thanks. We didn't prepare study materials because they came out of here, and we were wondering if maybe the next Congress we will also prepare our study materials, all our lessons, maybe more lessons. We were thinking how to maybe prepare a guideline for the Congress, maybe also practice it with friends that have experience in organizing study material. Maybe that's the next degree that the 10 will prepare their study materials. First of all, 3 things. The first one is great gratitude to the Creator, who simply let PT2 gave us support that we never recognized ever. It was like, after the evening of Thursday evening, when we did our bonfire, we burned our cell. And so you could say, what else can you add to the such perfection? Friday it was even more perfection, and Saturday was altogether. There's no way to describe this. Secondly, you know the friends from A to Z. What else can you renew here? And here we discovered again and again. I personally was surprised and wildly from additional angles that the friends disclosed. And the main thing, the third one at least, was after all the congresses that you come to some kind of satiation. You think, what else can you add? Because it's kind of like a wall. It's like, even if you come out with perfection from the Congress, how else, what else can you add to this connection? And here for the first time, it's like some spiritual perspective was born, that there's an immense endless path for more connection, and like the Creator himself. Truly great gratitude. Thank you, friends. A summary for the connection in there. This Congress, we are really thanking the Creator connection that gave us the opportunity to connect and really feel the connection, even though it was virtual, but we could really feel. We had all kinds of internet issues. It was hard to connect, but we were able to overcome all those problems, and we felt that even above the internet, it didn't prevent us from connecting. So it really shows that there's none else besides him, and it really connected us, and we know that we want to fill this room of Africa too, so we can all be here together. Usually it's 2 to 4 together, but this time it was really all of us above all our problems. So thank you all, the friends. We send blessings to the whole world. I want to say words of gratitude. We're March 26. We've been for already 5 days together. We went through many experiences. We get to know one another. We had very tasty meals, beautiful strolls. We rented a house in Peter, games, dances. We even had drawing. We connected to such an extent that we have friends from 4 different countries in the world, and for 5 days we're together. We're thankful to the Creator and to the World Cleave for this opportunity to feel one another. We saw so many Kabbalistic movies. We truly experienced Rav's method, and the whole group. We went through an action with a lot of spiritual fear. We've discovered a great force that was revealed before us, and a miracle happened. There was the BB Center was revealed in every 10. We've created a new wonderful reality that didn't exist before. We feel this one common prayer, one common attack, that opened a new future for each and every one of us, and all of us together. There's no words in such a state. So great gratitude for every friend that has invested all their efforts for this work. And great thanks to the management that called this miracle, and it happened. Great gratitude to our great teacher. That was a pipeline for all our teachers. First of all, thank you for everyone who shared their impressions, and we'll have more time to hear throughout the week. More and more impressions. But now we want to refine from this. What we went through it's a period of preparation, and we went through the Congress itself for 3 days that are very concentrated, and certainly in each 10 went through something very unique, very special, very successful, something that we would like to recommend to other 10s to do some exercise, some example event, something that gave us such an exalted feeling that truly let us discover, like we want the Creator between us. So let's take this one example, refine it, try to refine it, and then after 5 minutes of discussion between us, we will ask to raise this in general assembly to share it with the rest of the tents. So please, 5 minutes. What is the advice from the experience we just had between us that we would like to share the whole world clear. I think we shouldn't have these congresses in people's homes and better to God in nature. Have some trip where one helps the other. It really connects. Special advice. I think everyone did it. So the building of the content, the work together on us having to build it together, the content and everything that's happening in the Congress. It's a blessed thing. The whole 10 works together, no matter if they're working on content or they're working in the kitchen. All that common work builds relations in us. I think each received his place to bestow, and the 10 was incorporated with the deficiency of each and every friend, and gave a person a place to add and bring their deficiency to the 10. It turns out that each brought what was unique to them, and we truly built a puzzle of connection, which in my opinion we didn't know before. There's also a place of a certain flexibility that we need to always pay attention to between what we planned in advance and what we feel in practice that we can do. Sometimes the state of the 10 in that time needs a different process we need to go through, or to go through it differently. Can always think of what we can add at that moment, whether it's a special song, whether it's a special activity. And in practice, I would say in every action, everything we do together is an opportunity to incorporate to do these things together. We need to always think how everything we do comes from the connection between us, more or less. Everyone went through this and went through the same feelings. Maybe a good trip that isn't so easier is a good thing. Maybe also to think of the food. I heard from a lot of people that maybe they ate too much. Maybe we should fast for a day or two. It's good when the friends say what you need to do. That's a good challenge. As an example, the friends wanted me to record an audio with a friend for our journey to the desert. That was amazing. Say it again in some other words. No. Anything that has to do with this activity could be actions of connection to prepare ourselves, and the actual drive there. The fact that we have to divide the activities between us, and then all kinds of special cooperations between us. We've created different types of actions that we haven't done before, and we took responsibility on all these actions. So it's, yes friends, our challenge is to do this. Very short, so we'll be able to hear many 10s, any 10 at once to share advice. Some kind of advice that they discovered they want to share the rest of the 10 to recommend to do so, that we will be able to all enjoy. Please 27, and we discovered that we can stay close and have a very strong congress without driving really far. We gathered in a home in Var, also a workshop of writing a song together. We had a very special thing, that we did a study between friends. We had 2 lessons in the congress that our friends, different friends, made it in the workshop that every lesson there will be different friends. That prepared 3 friends prepared a lesson for the friends, and we did that lesson, and that lesson developed also to beyond what was on the lineup, with many discussions and many discernments. And I heard one of the friends said yesterday that in a study between the friends there was a feeling that we revealed the Creator. Good evening world. We are from 5 different countries: Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and it was a wonderful experience. We were 14 friends that organized the topics of the Congress. It came to push all the 10s in the world to advance on the latter. Thank you for the example of all the 10s, because we're really in such inspiration of the experience we went through personally. We scrutinized what the deficiency in prayer we need as friends. We divided ourselves to teams, so each team took a whole day to truly be on the menus, on the content, and everything. And why was that so special? Yeah, it put the whole 10 into a state where everyone does everything, and also every day is craziness, cause each one wants to bestow to the 10 as much as possible. So, also as friends said, at least have 2 nights together to go through all these states together. Plan. We had 2 plans, Plan A and Plan B, in case of the bad weather, and in the end, we had to do both. Thank you, friends. Our tip is to let every friend have a place to express their love. Games, exercises, food, music. So we just one with every friend. That's it. Two things. One, we began this path of doing a very big table. Every block in the Congress from the morning till night, every block. Where is this happening? Who does the preparation for that block? Whose content important? There. Who does that? Who are the participants in that block? The study material. We did a very big table of all this, and we advanced with this all Congress long. It really helped us keep us on the framework. And the second advice is, if someone doesn't succeed to be with the friends in that block in the Congress, don't forget to connect them virtually, whether it's WhatsApp video or their system. Remember all the people that can't come and help them connect from the outside. Hello, dear friends. Right before the Congress, we had all kinds of unpredicted disturbances. We were supposed to meet, but then it was supposed to be virtual, but in the end we finally were able to meet. So our advice is to hold the intention above all disturbances and to turn to the Creator from the depth of the heart and the centre of the thank you. Last scrutiny, last workshop. What is best to improve or add to the next congresses to even bomb the strengthen the tense even more again? Last workshop, we'll have a short sentence in assembly after that. What is best to improve or add in the next 10 congress in order to strengthen the connection in the 10 even more? 4 minutes, not to wait for the congress to do it. Every so often that a 10 goes out together and builds their togetherness. We need to tell the Creator what we want to do with this connection, for what goal we want to use this connection, what we're asking in the connection between us. We need to say this to the Creator. I think that the third day we were a bit lost. We were so busy. In those 2 days we went through as a 10, so the third day each one was kind of in their own place. We didn't exactly know, and the Congress kept going. Yesterday too, they were very important. 2 last lessons that we went through. Well, let's say, not as we went through the first 2 days, and we want to think if should we do it this way or to make it better to do it like we did. We need to think what actions we can do that are more precise for our 10 more suitable to us maybe. I think after 2 days became more tired. To the third day, some had even a difficulty to participate. We need to think what actions are more correct for us for the 10. Because we can put it into the content and think like was said here how we make this more times a year in a more focused way, in a way where there will be a little less toil but more of an act of connection between us and less physical engagement in some of the things. Everything was perfect, don't have anything to add. Maybe like all in lad said that the first day was gathering, second day scrutinies, things that we never have time for, and the third day is again connection and love. I think that's a nice, beneficial way I'd use it. I would maybe change the lessons. I would add more sources that was missing. We did it independently. We read independently the sources, and that was very powerful. NE is saying to add studying between the friends to meet closer so there'll be less organisation. What do you think? What next year and a year will go to the 10th Congress, the next one? There are probably all kinds of suggestions of what we can improve. So in short, I don't know if it's something better, but yesterday we had a nice exercise. We were divided into 3s. We went out to the park and we said that every 3 friends write a letter. It was after a meal, and when the friends met read their letter, it was like a new angle, a new process on how we go through everything. There was a question that, why didn't I pray all day? It's a very good experience when their friends write. To add this element will be blessed. A thank you, brothers. So we believe we feel unanimously that way the next one we should make our own content all the way. We should do the lessons we should, get with the Tatica to find the right clips and the right material to use for what we decided we're going to do. We also think more length in between lessons. Maybe even a slightly longer preparation session, more outside events. The walk was beautiful, especially when if you know we also wanted to walk along the beach and silence, which is very beautiful, very powerful, and more unity games to bring us closer together. Thank you to the French, thank you what we think in the 10 is worth improving, to turn to the friends in the preparation to help, even if it's not a roll or even if it's another 10 and another clee. Thank you to all the friends, to all the tents. We'll continue this on the close Shabbat in the meals in the lesson, and we should take more. If you have any tips to find ways to make it better, you can send it to Bor, anything you want to advise. We also send a survey on how we can make it better. Just fill it up. God says this: there has to be such a connection that inside each one will feel that they are 100% only dependent on the 10, and that the whole world doesn't exist. Only the 10 exists. They determine my destiny, my state, my future, my eternality. Everything is determined only in the 10. Life, death, it's all in the 10 only. Again, there has to be such a connection that inside everyone should feel that they are 100% dependent only on the 10. That the whole world doesn't exist. Only the 10 exists. They determine my destiny, my state, my future, my eternality. Everything is determined only in the 10. Life or death in the 10 only. We'll end with a song. I don't believe in myself, but I believe in you. I'm falling in myself, but I want to draw to you. 'Cause when we can stand together above a frozen arms, I'm sure the light will come and make things right. We are the parts of the one-man body. We are the soldiers of the light. We're going to break these walls together and let the love be our minds. We're going to burn like fire, fire in the one desire. Love is stronger than the dark side of life. Fire higher with the one desire. 'Cause in the end there's nothing else besides light, life and love, love and light, light in the end. There's nothing else beside light and love, love and light, light in the end. There's nothing else beside light. No matter what will come in our winding path, you are not alone. I'll always watch your back. So let's just stand together. I'll hold you in my arms, and suddenly the light will come and heal the heart. We are the part of the one-man army. We are the soldiers of the light. We're going to break these walls around us and let the hope fulfill our lives. We are the part of the one-man army. We be filled with tears. We're going to break this around a little over here. We're going to burn like fire, fire in the one desire. Love is stronger than the dark side of life. Fire with the one desire. 'Cause in the end, there's nothing else besides light. I don't believe in life and love, love and light. In the end, there's nothing else besides light. I don't believe in light and love, love and light. In the end, there's nothing else besides. I don't believe in myself, but I believe in you. Holding, in Shalom. Hello. In the first part of the lesson, we will watch a recorded lesson from January 3rd, 2002 based on the article. These are the generations of Noah. We'll read the article together in the 10. We have 19 minutes for that. Go ahead. These are the generations of Noah. Quote, these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man. He was complete in his generations. Noah walked with God. End quote. Rashi interprets to teach you that the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds. Rashi explains why he says these are the generations of Noah. It should have said the names of his sons, meaning Shem and Yit. And why does it say these are the generations of Noah? Noah was a righteous man. He explains that it is because the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds. Quote, in his generations, end quote. Since some of our sages praise him that if he were in a generation of righteous people, he would have been more righteous. Others condemn him. If he were in a generation of Abraham, he would be regarded as nothing. Quote, walked with God, and quote, interprets with Abraham. He says, quote, before whom I walked. End quote. No one needed assistance to support him, but Abraham was strong and walked with his righteousness by himself. To explain all the above in the work, we should know that father and son, fathers and offspring, mean cause and consequence. Normally, when a person does something, he's certain that this act will engender something. For example, a person who goes to work in some factory wants to gets a salary through his actions. so he can provide for himself. It turns out that the father is the labor and the offspring is the provision, the payment. Likewise, when a person learns some wisdom, he wants to be appreciated as wise by that, meaning that everything a person does is only to see generations offspring from his actions. Therefore, when a person engages in Torah and commandments, he certainly wants some generations to be born out of his actions. According to what is written in the Holy Surah, quote, fear is interpreted in 3 ways, 2 of which do not have the proper root, and 1 is the root of fear. There is a person who fears the Creator, so his sons will live and not die, or he fears a monetary punishment. For this reason he always fears the Creator. It turns out that his fear of the Creator is not the root, since his own benefit is the root, and the fear is its consequence, its offspring. Then there is a person who fears the Creator because he fears the punishment of that world and the punishment of hell. Those 2 fears, fear of punishment in this world and fear of punishment in the next world, are not the essence of the fear and its roots. Fear, which is the essence, is that one should fear one's master because he is great and ruling, the essence and root of all the worlds, and everything is regarded as nothing compared to him. It follows from the above that from the work in which a person labors, which is called the father, he wants to see the generations from his work, which is called fruits of his work. There are 3 types of generations we should see here. 1 reward in this world, meaning that his sons will live and he will succeed in his work, etc. 2 reward in the next world. 3 because the Creator is great and ruling. This means that all the generations he aspires for are to be able to bestow contentment upon the Creator. It follows from the above. There is the matter of generations which are called good deeds, and good means bestowing upon the Creator. As it is written, my heart overflows with a good thing. I say my work is for the King. This means that he wants all of his actions to be for the Creator, and this is called good deeds, and for his own benefit. He wants no reward, and all the reward he hopes for is to be able to do things that bring contentment to the Creator, without any reward for his own labor. This means that his reward is that he will be given that gift of being able to do things only for the sake of the Creator, without any mixture of intention for to benefit himself. This is the reward for which he engages in Torah and mitzvot, and for such good deeds he hopes to attain this by his labor. It was said about this, I've created the evil inclination. I have created for the Torah as a spice. Accordingly, what are the generations of the righteous? Only good deeds, meaning the result that stems from the reason, and the reason is the labor in it. For the rest of the people, the result of the reason are reward in this world or reward in the next world. But to the righteous, their result from the reason is that their Father who begets generations is only good deeds. This is the only reward they hope for, to be able to bring contentment to the Creator. And this is the meaning of what Rashi interprets, that the generations of the righteous is primarily good deeds. This is regarded as all their actions being only to bestow contentment upon the Creator. However, we should understand what Rashi interprets about the essence of the generations of the righteous and what they consider secondary, which they do not regard as the essence. It is known that there are actions and there is understanding and knowing. That is that which is within reason is called understanding and knowing, meaning that the body too agrees that we should engage in Torah and commandments. Since once a person has achieved the degree of Lishma, he is rewarded with the light of life, which is found in Torah commandments. As it is written, more desirable than gold, than much fine gold, and sweeter than honey and the honeycomb. This is called understanding, where the body too understands that it is worthwhile to be a servant of the Creator. Says, quote, anyone who engages in is rewarded with many things. Moreover, the whole world is worthwhile for him, and the secrets of Torah are revealed to him. End quote. To the righteous, all these things attained by engaging in Lishma are not regarded as the essence. That is, this is not their intention in the work in Torah and commandments. Rather, what is most important for them is good deeds, meaning to bestow contentment upon the Creator. It is in that regard that they expected to achieve a degree of deeds above reason. Their intention was not to have generations of understanding and knowing, but rather their intention was only the actions. This is the meaning of what Rashi explained, quote, to teach you that the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds, end quote. According to the above, we can interpret what Rashi explains about in his generations. Quote, some of our sages praise him. Moreover, if he were in a generation of righteous, he would have been more righteous. Others condemn him. If he were in Abraham's generation, he would be regarded as nothing. End quote. In his generations means his 2 generations, because 2 is plural, but concerning the work each and every state is called a generation. This is the meaning of quote 1 generation shall praise your work 2. Another, end quote. It means that whether a person is in a generation of the wicked, meaning if a person has thoughts and desires of the wicked, at which time a person has great exertion to be able to overcome the arguments of the wicked, which peck at his mind and thought with the questions of who and what as is known. At that time he cannot overcome them, unless with the power of faith above reason. This is regarded as subduing the arguments of the wicked, not with answers within reason, but rather only with the power of faith above reason can he defeat them. And this is called an act, meaning without intellect. And this is called, quote, if he has performed 1 commandment, he is happy, for he has sentenced himself and the entire world to the scale of merits, end quote. For only with an act can we defeat the arguments of the wicked, and not with intellect and reason. Accordingly, we should say that Noah's generation refers to a generation of wicked. He should be praised because then he has the primary hard work, but he should be condemned because in the end he is in a generation full of the wicked, meaning he has foreign thoughts, and it is unbecoming of a servant of the Creator to have such wickedness in his mind and heart. We should also say that in the generation of Abraham, meaning in a generation where there are righteous ones, namely when he is good thoughts of righteousness, it is when there is only one desire in his heart and mind to bring contentment to the Creator, and thoughts and desires of the wicked never cross his mind or heart. Such a person is in a generation of the righteous. Others praise, for if Noah had been in a state of righteousness, meaning if he had equalized the powers of overcoming that he had in the generation of the wicked, what would he have felt then compared to the feeling he has now, which is the pleasantness and sweetness of the Torah? Certainly the time of Noah's generation, which is called a generation of wicked, that time was regarded as nothing, for then he still did not feel the delight and pleasure that he feels in a generation of the righteous. But with respect to the work, the time when he was in a generation of the wicked was a place for work. Turns out that no generation is more important, because he has what to do, for the generations of the righteous are primarily good deeds. Noah walked with God. End quote. Rashi interprets that with Abraham, he says, quote, before whom I walked, end quote. Noah needed assistance to support him, but Abraham was strong and walked by his righteousness. This means that there are 2 types of forces in a person which are called vessels of reception and vessels of bestowal. Vessels of bestowal relates to the Creator, as the Creator is the giver, and vessels of reception relate to the created being who is the receiver, and vessels of reception which relate to the receiver come before the vessels of bestow. In the words of Kabbalah, the vessels of bestow are called and of, and below them are the vessels of reception, which are that of, and accordingly the vessels of bestow are called. God walked with Noah, meaning that in a place of vessels of bestow, it was possible to walk in holiness, meaning vessels are bestow that relate to the Creator.